bouncing around here, guys. Bear with me. We're heading down a pretty bouncy, well-populated road out towards Heber. Got a lot of clientele out here. I've supposed to buy my 6th container maybe coming out this area in the last 6 months. So, little quick rundown. I'm specializing right now in 40-foot high cube wind and water tight. So wind and water tight means that they'll keep wind and water out. Just like it sounds, means the seals are still in good shape. The pillars don't have any significant damage to where they won't have some integrity. These are not cargo worthy. The difference between this and cargo worthy would be basically, I'm gonna hold you guys. Hold me. The cargo worthy would be something that's been inspected and worthy of sending across the ocean, which means that it's going to have a little bit, guaranteed structural integrity to stack these things like 12 high. Most people aren't doing that. So anyway, most of the containers I'm getting right now are between 12 and 15 years old. They're in really good shape. A lot of the inventory you find out in this area in Apache County, Arizona, Navajo County, Arizona, at least from what I've heard and what I've seen, are really rough shape. I'm not saying everyone doesn't have, good containers, but I got the only game in town. Whoa, we're bouncing. I'm just saying that when people buy in bulk and they got 50 of them sitting on their property, a lot of times they're getting the bottom of the barrel stuff to get the best deal possible, which is understandable. That's business. Just you may not get the best container in that regard. So a lot of containers are 18 to 20 years old before they're decommissioned. Some are even older than that, but about 20 years, you're going to see if there's a big conglomerate that owns thousands of containers. 18 to 20 years, they're going to decommission them unless there's something get damaged before that. They have to be decommissioned. But so a lot of containers can be 20 years old plus, potentially up here, meaning that sometimes the seals are going to be pretty rough. Might be a little bit more rust patina on them, more dents from drunken forklift operations or guys, I guess, trying to beat the time clock on filling up a load. But just keep that in mind. So I try and get my hands on stuff that's between 10 to 15 years old if I can. I can't always guarantee that, but if I find a batch coming in from one of my resources and they tell me that, yeah, these things are, 12 years old, 13 years old, decommissioned, I try and jump on those pretty fast. So bear with me. I got a bunch of change in the old ashtray there and it's bouncing around. But yeah, if you guys are interested, like I said, I'm trying to really focus on 40-foot wind and water tight that are in good shape. And I'm going with a high cube. The high cube is a 9 foot 6 inches tall. A conventional standard height container will be 8 foot 6 inches tall. So the 9 foot 6 inches tall just gives you an extra foot of space to store and build and things like that inside your container. Once you go with a 9 foot 6 inches tall container, the 8 foot 6 inches tall, even though it's only a foot, it's extremely short comparatively. Gives you more room, like I said, if you want to do a workshop, you can do a little drop, drop type of a underhang type of thing. As far as that goes, to store things on. If you're building a tiny house out of those things, and you want to put like plumbing in the future, and you didn't plan for that, or you're maybe modifying in the future, you can always build a step up to like your shower or toilet, thing like that, and get fall. You can create fall rather than having that thing sitting 2 or 3 feet up in the air if you don't want to build that way. So anyway, just give me a little rundown. Like I said, if you guys need a container, give me a holler. 928-243-3443. I operate out of Concho, Arizona, which is Apache County, Arizona. You're welcome to come out and see my inventory. I can be honest with you right now, getting inventory on my lot that I prepared for getting inventory on about 3 months back. I started working on that. I rarely have any inventory. By the time I bring it up, it's gone. So I'm at the port and I send a couple pictures out to people off of Facebook Marketplace or off the YouTube subscriptions or word of mouth and just texting people. Usually they commit to the container almost immediately, to where I've rarely gotten more than 3 or 4 on my property for a couple weeks at a time, if that. So part of that, the inventory is just in really good shape. There's tons of people pumping these up in here, so I'm not the only game in town. The difference with me, the fees that I quote you will stay the same. There won't be any sort of surprises. I take care of my YouTube subscription buddies. Anyone I'm on there with, I try and do the best deal I can. I'm not saying I gouge anyone that's not on there, but I try and pass the discount I can on to you. If you buy a container from me and a month later you see them advertised cheaper, you didn't get had. It's just maybe I got a deal. So if I can buy 4 to 6 of these at a bulk price, sometimes my distributors will give me a little breakdown, a couple $100 off per container, maybe $1,000 off the whole fleet of them, depending. So whenever I get a discount, you'll see that reflective in the discounts I give you. So if I advertise an inexpensive price, because I got a deal. Doesn't mean that they've all gone down across the board and they'll stay that way. That might be that four containers. Like this container I'm selling right now, I just ordered 4. I bought one, brought it up, and it sold, you know, on the trip back here. So while I'm on the side of the road trying to fix flat tires on my trailer and make sure my truck's running good and all that good stuff, I'm getting text messages from people and comments on YouTube saying, I want that container, or is it still available, things like that. That happens pretty much every time I bring one up, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good demand, I guess, and I'm supplying it. So but with that being said, you could call me this week and get a quote on a container, and call me 2 weeks later, or say, hey, I saw a Facebook ad, you're selling this for this price. Well, that's because I bought 4 to 6 of them, 8 of them, 10 of them. I committed to 12 of them out of a fleet of them that came in from one of my providers, and I usually have a certain amount of time to pick those up. I might have 30 days to, I commit to them, I might have 30 days to pick them up, or I lose the deal, which doesn't mean that I don't get the containers, I lose the pricing. So I try and grab them as fast as possible. Jeez, a little bumpy here. I try and grab them as fast as possible. That way I can kind of cost average them out. So the person who loses on that, if I commit to 10 containers and I pick up 8 of them in that 30-day period, and I slack on the last 2, and I give discounts on all 8 of those right away, I might lose a little bit of money on the last 2 as far as profitability. So there's profit in this industry. It's not a bad deal, of course. I'm not in this just the goodwill of my heart and charity. It's a way to make a living, basically, and have a little side hustle to invest in the projects that me and my kids are working on. So anyway, thanks for bearing with me. I know it's loud in here. I got shit bouncing all over the place. I got my mega cab dually just ripping down the road here. We're not even ripping it. We're running 20 miles an hour today. The faster you go, the better here, but I got a 40-foot container in the back with a big old gooseneck, so I don't want to get too crazy. I came down this road pretty fast one time, scared the crap out of a lot of people, I'm sure. But the faster you go from the old dirt bike days, you kind of start playing on top of all the chatter and stuff. It actually drives a little better. But yeah, so if you guys need a container, give me a holler. Like I said, 40-foot wind and water type high cubes. That's what I'm kind of specializing in right now. It's just the best bang for the buck. I'm gonna bring up some 20-footers probably October. I'm gonna try and bring up like 4 of those in between all my 40-footers. I'm gonna try and bring some standard condition. So just wind and water tight starter condition, standard height, which is the 8 foot 6 inches, 20-footers. And I don't know the pricing on those right now, but those will be the least expensive ones I get my hands on. I try and buy as is from Private Party all the time, and you're just not finding the deals anymore. Private Party down in California, Southern Arizona, Nevada, Utah, they all want the same price that everyone's selling them at retail up here, so I can't buy them, transport them, and be profitable at all to where I can give you guys a deal on those. So, I mean, when I get them, I grab them. If I ever have any as is, it means I probably bought like 3 to 6 of them at a time. Once again, same thing. Come up with the cash, buy them all right up front to get that deal, and then you got to move them because people don't want them sitting on a property. You really don't want to leave your merchandise out there because you're paid for it, even though you're got a deal. I mean, a deal's a deal. You never know. Someone might just make those things disappear. So anyway, I'm also working on potentially looking into not a rent-to-own program, but a financing program. I know people ask about financing, and I haven't had that available before. I can make it available. I have avenues because I've used that in other disciplines in the motorcycle industry and in the RV industry. So I know that is available. Let me see if I can make this stuff shut up a little bit here. Let you change it. I never spin it, just stuck in this little thing. There we go. That's a little bit better. So anyway, I might be working on some financial programs, and it'd be one of those no credit check, like Snap financing, or things you see when you want to buy like wheels and tires. I don't strongly advise using those kind of services. Those services garner, they exist because they are very profitable for the financial institutions, and the way they make their money is if you utilize it as cash and you pay it off fast. Usually the interest rate's not too crazy. They give you a grace period, maybe 90 days to pay it off with no interest, just like a $40 fee for borrowing. And then once you go to like that 90 days plus 1, the interest rate gets ugly. So I don't like using those. I don't like putting people in those positions. As a vendor, or as a I guess, the retailer, you don't suffer on that. The financial company takes care of you, pays you once the loan gets through. It's the consumer. If you don't pay the money on time, you really can get kind of hosed. I mean, that's life. I mean, anything you financing, if you understand how financing works, I mean, you're paying to borrow, you're paying to play. So that's how it goes. But a lot of those no credit check ones, people do those on those house sheds, like the house to home, house cabin, shed cabins, what do they call those things? And I see tons of them for repo because you'll put the minimum down, they get an intro, maybe a 30-day intro or 90-day intro, set payment, and then the interest rate kicks in, and someone makes no payment for 2 months in a row and they get repoed. So I don't want to be in that position. That's mostly why I haven't offered any sort of in-house financing. I trust that my customers can make the payments and there's no issues. I just don't want to be the guy. Selling stuff's fun. I worked in service my whole life, so service is not as fun. At a motorcycle dealership, the guy sells you a motorcycle and it's the best day of your life. The first day you met me and my staff is when the motorcycle broke, or you had to fix it, or maintenance it, and it all costs money. And a lot of times it wasn't discussed when you purchased the vehicle because the salesman wants to keep you euphoric on the fact that you're buying a new motorcycle or a boat or RV or something cool. And then you meet me and they're like, oh, it's $1,000 for what? You know, so anyway, so I've been on that side of the business. The sales portion of the business is nice. Even selling containers are expensive, but people like getting them. You got to dream of what you're going to do with this thing. You're going to store stuff in there. You're going to make it into a tiny house, a she shed, a hunting shack, storage, whatever it may be. It's a good day. I don't want to be the guy coming back by to any of my consumers, you know, and feeling like a jerk, having to go, hey man, you didn't make 2 payments on this thing. On the 3rd payment, I got to repo this sucker for our contract. I don't like that kind of business. If I wanted that kind of business, I'd just go be a repo man and make twice what I make doing containers. But anyway, so that's just a little tangent there. That's why I've never gone into in-house financing. I have not deep pockets, but I have deep enough pockets where I could probably cover financing, like I said. Would I finance to like my best friend, my brother, you know, my neighbor? Sure, you know, but I mean, like I said, I just don't want to become the repo man. That just puts you in a bad place. It's hard to have a friendly, cohesive sales engagement, customer relationship when you're showing up at someone's house to take that container back. So anyway, get on a sidetrack there, but I just want to explain that. So if I do financing stuff, it'll be through, like I said, a Snap Finance and a Firm, one of these companies. I'm going to look into it probably in December, January. I don't plan on doing containers. I'm going to be launching a separate business for my boys. We're doing a food service business in town. Just something fun, something to give them some entrepreneurship. Been talking about it for a while, but I put it off till December because I've just been busy. In December, January, I won't be delivering containers. We're in the snowy parts of the month. Once again, if someone really needed something, give me a call. I can work something out or go through one of my other vendors potentially I deal with. But the plan is December, January to chill out, help my boys launch their business, work on some projects that are much overdue on all my properties. And then I will be looking at some financial connections, like I said, with some of these no credit check, straightforward 5-second, approval financial methods through some of these, these third-party companies that offer that. And once I offer that, I will announce that, and I'm sure it'll help a lot of people out. Shit's expensive, man. Inflation sucks. This administration that's running our country right now, or pretending to run our country, is a total joke. So we're all just strapped financially. I get it. I'm not rolling in cash, so hopefully no one thinks that. I do my money differently. I don't keep a lot of it stashed under the mattress or in the bank account. I basically just go buy stuff. I go buy land. I go buy vehicles. I go buy something, a tool or a gun or something that I know I'm going to use for years to come. And so technically I'm not cash, rich. I'm, commodities and possessions wealthy, and some people say, oh, it's too much material things. I get that, but all my stuff is worth what I paid for it or more mostly. So technically, when the economy isn't completely junk, or even if it's decent, if you have good items, you can always make cash, that make hay while the sun shines. You can cash your items out. You sell a car, you sell land, you sell a gun, you sell, some services, you barter, whatever else. So the things I own are valuable in that regard. But once again, like I said, I know everyone's a little strapped. Things aren't getting cheap. Like I said, containers have not gone down in a year and a half that I've been involved in this. So Only time they go down for me is if I meet a new resource that maybe entices me to come on board with them to buy from them solely and gives me a couple $100 here and there off, which gets eaten right up by maintenance and fuel. So or by a blown out tire or whatever. Or like I said, or I buy in bulk. So for instance, I started with a new container outfit just last week. I organized down in Southern California, and so I bought, like I said, 4 containers, got a deal, and immediately I had a blowout tire within 200 miles of picking this thing up. So right then and there's an extra couple $100 in replacement tire. When I was going up Beeline Highway, I tried to one leg it on the one side because I did not have a spare on here. I know that's a real dumb way to operate, but I hadn't ordered my spare and I had brand new tires on this thing, so I thought, what's the worst that could happen? Maybe a flat tire. That's the worst that could happen. It's pretty obvious. I've had a million flat tires in my life. I was just stretching it out, robbing Peter to pay Paul. But so I ruined the second tire trying to dog leg it up the grade there, which in traditional fashion, you put your spare tire on, you've been fine. So my poor planning and my procrastination, although I saved money by buying 4 containers, I ate up $350 of that money, of that savings, by having a flat tire inadvertently and then blowing out or ruining my other tire by one legging it because I was procrastinating and not prepared. so those discounts right out the window. But I'm still giving the discounts on those things. I'm doing the best price possible, but I eat my profitability by making stupid moves like that. But that happens. That's just the nature of the beast. So anyway, hope everyone's doing well out there. Property, man, there's still good deals out here. So if you're on the channel living vicariously through me or through other people that are up here, that's what I did to get up here in this Apache County, Arizona area. I watched other videos, saw what people are doing, got all pumped on their builds, bought land and put the stake in the ground like far and away, and freedom, got all crazy until I realized I have a tax bill for forever, which is small, but it's also extortion. Anyway, if you're still thinking about it, man, I don't think there's any time like now. I mean, like, I don't think land's gonna get cheaper. Right now, I think the prices are about the same as they were 3 years ago, to where they boosted up through the roof and they've kind of come back down. My brother just bought property over in St. John's, 40 acres. It was priced close to $1,000 an acre, which is pretty standard in Apache County, Navajo County. Cochise is probably cheaper down south, but you got some pretty extreme temperatures down there. You also got to join a gang or a drug cartel to get by with the natives, but the locals. But no, there's really good people down there, man. I love that area, but man, it's not as bad as they say on the news, obviously, but I'm sure people are dealing with that, the cartel stuff and the drug stuff and the human trafficking down there's got to be I wouldn't want to have a homestead and deal with that shit. That'd be crazy. So, but up here in Apache County, like I said, about $1,000 an acre. That's what they're asking. Doesn't mean you have to pay that. My brother's property, like I think I mentioned in a video, he was at $39,000. They dropped it a couple times, and then he offered about half. I mean, like we got it for $18,500. So 40 acres or 38.75, like mine. They're always like a weird number for some reason. But yeah, so there's still deals out here. I mean, and unless you make that offer, you'll never know. So if you're still looking, still dreaming, make that dream become a reality, man. Quit the American dream. Leave all that shit behind. Get rid of your 9-to-5 job if you can afford to do so. Get yourself out of debt. Get rid of some of that. If you got big finances above your head, look at that new truck and think, okay, or that truck you've had for 2 or 3 years. Can I sell that and get out of that thing and buy a used truck for 10 grand that I have cash in pocket, from that sale? And yeah, you're gonna have to maintain it more, but I can tell you, it's never the same as making a $700-800 a month payment for the next 6 or 7 or 8 years. So anyway, just my piece of, my opinion and my little tidbit of thought there. But get out of debt. Go buy that piece of land, and if that land's 5 years from now, just buy it right now. If you can afford it, buy it. If you have to do an owner financing to get that land and you can see the end of that loan, and 5 years or less, I got that paid off, it'll be just perfect timing, I wouldn't wait, I'd just do it. I'm not a big proponent of financing anything, but that's what it takes to get you to start moving, get that body moving and go in the right direction, changing your priorities. I'd say take that plunge, and grab it. But anyway, containers, give me a holler. My beard's white. I haven't had a beard in 6 months. White. Pretty much a bummer. But I'm not gonna do the hair dye thing. What is it called? Whatever for men, hair dye for men or something. I don't know. We ain't brushing no color into this, guys. It's almost translucent. It's so white. But Obi-Wan Kenobi had a white beard, and he's pretty badass. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, he had a white beard, and he was pretty pretty cool. It was a Jedi. So anyway, I'll go for that Jedi look for Halloween. The Obi-Wan Kenobi. Right on, guys. Stay safe out there. If you have any questions regarding property, throw them in the comment section. I answer every comment I get. If you got a sarcastic comment, I like sarcasm too. I'm pretty good at giving it out just as well as I am at taking it. If you have any questions regarding the containers, go for that. If you have questions on permits, find another channel. That's not me. Whether it be containers or land, I don't address that stuff. That's all each is their own as far as that goes. So look into your local county commission and planning board if you need to, or do what you want to do. Stay free kind of thing, you know. But yeah, stay safe out there, guys. Keep your head, I guess, you know, facing forward and get some goals out there and just start knocking them off. Don't get stuck in that rat race, man. This is over so freaking quick, so fast. There's really no time to hesitate. If you got a 5-year plan, try and shave that in half, 2.5 years, and then try and shave that into a year and 3 months, man. Push yourself to do what you want to do and start enjoying life. This shitty grin I always have on my face, man, it's not artificial, man. Year and a half of being out here full time, quit the day job, greatest fucking experience of my life. Wouldn't change it for the world. It's been awesome. Struggles, yeah. Setbacks, yeah. Goals completely out of whack and nowhere near the timeline I thought, yeah. Still kind of working to some degree. Man, the seatbelt just locks up. Yeah. Going as planned, not even freaking close, but loving every minute of it, man. It's just been awesome, you know. I mean, today I think I saw 3 cars on the way out here in like a 50-mile drive. I mean, no traffic, no nothing. I mean, it's not utopia or perfect, but man, it's pretty freaking close, and it's not by accident that I got out here. Right on, guys. Take care. Thanks for listening to me blab.